Do you ever feel like you are lacking a clear strategy in your business? Maybe you have redone your website many times and still you go back to it and you look at all of the options there for your ideal clients and you think, wow, this is amazing. Why isn't anybody booking with me? Today, we're going to be unpacking how to actually implement a clear strategy within your business. And I'm going to give you 3 specific things that you're going to want to consider as you build a pathway for your ideal clients to follow so that you actually do get hired. This is in response to the work that I have been doing over the last couple of weeks with clients, and the same problem is appearing over and over and over again. So I know that it's something that a lot of people are struggling with right now. So the 3 things that I'm going to unpack with you today are these. Number 1 is I want you to think about how you're going to differentiate yourself in your space. What I see is that healers, spiritual coaches, human design practitioners, life coaches, all seem to want to be offering the same things that other people in their field are doing. And there is a much better way to do this. I'm going to give you a real case study of someone that I worked with this week to show you how you can actually do it differently and stand out in your niche. How you can actually build hunger for your offer instead of having people turn away because they're so confused they don't know what to buy. Which brings us to point number 2. And that is that if you are confused on your offers, your ideal fit client is going to be confused on your offers. If when someone goes to your website, there are 6 or 7 different choices for the thing to start with, they're going to click off. They're not going to know how to get started. So they're just going to make the decision to click off because that's the easiest thing to do. When you confuse, you lose. So keep that in your mind. And then the third thing is actually we're going to put a strategy in place today, you and I here. If you feel like you need more of this, what I have decided to do is open up my calendar in May to do these 90-minute strategy sessions and only 90-minute strategy sessions. So I won't be focusing on readings or any other offers. CBD will be complete at that time, content by design if you're new here. And what I'm going to do is focus on these strategy sessions with you. So if you think that that might be the next step for you, if you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the show notes for you to do so. I'm going to open up 10 spaces for that. And once they're gone, they're gone. So let's get into it. Number 1, differentiate yourself in your space. So as I said, I'm going to do a case study with you here. I worked with someone this week. I worked with a lot of someones over the last few weeks though, where they had a lot of different offers on their pages, on their website page, because they thought they had to. So a lot of the people I'm working with this month are human design practitioners. Just so happens that that's the way it worked out in my schedule. So let's use that as an example. You're a human design practitioner and you think that you have to have a basic reading, a reading on gates and channels, a business reading, a relationship reading, a parenting reading, a Saturn return reading, a Chiron return reading. Oh, and let's throw an astrology reading into the mix in case someone wants that. So they go to your website and they don't know how to self-identify. Everything that we are speaking needs to be what we call self-identifying content. It needs to be something that your ideal fit client can actually raise her hand and say, oh my gosh, you're speaking to me. I feel you in my soul. How do you know what's in my head? Has anyone ever said that to you? That is the most beautiful thing. When you hear that, it's like music to the entrepreneur's ears. When you hear someone say, you must be inside my head, because that means you're speaking her language and you understand what it is that she needs and you understand how to speak in a way that she knows you are the solution for her. So in this particular case of this practitioner that I was working with, there was one type of reading that she offered that was completely different than anything else I have ever heard of. And she didn't see it as a big deal. She's a second line, so of course she didn't see it as a gift. She didn't see it as a big deal. And I said, this is really, really different. This would differentiate you in the space. And it's the natural progression from your lead magnet to your low bite offer, to this offer, to your bigger work. It fits perfectly in there. So this needs to be everything that you are driving someone to. And this completely differentiates you in the space. So what I'm going to suggest that you do in your business as well is look at the things that you're offering and see if there's one that fits perfectly into the ecosystem that is your business. And when we get to the strategy piece, I'm going to show you how to build that ecosystem that is your business. But look at the thing that you love the most to do, that you get the greatest feedback on, that fits perfectly with the rest of the things you do, and consider making that your main offer. It doesn't mean that you can never do any one of these other things that you might have on your website now. It just means that you're going to be very, very clear for your ideal client. When she lands there, you're going to be speaking the language that leads her to purchase that offer, that leads her to understand that that offer is the answer to her problems. And then you can speak to her soul in all of your content. That's really, really important. When you have all of these different offers on your website, it's impossible for you to hone in and speak the words that your ideal fit client needs to hear, because it's all over the place. And then they get confused and they bounce away. So that kind of ties in with the second point. That really ties in with the second point, is when you confuse, you lose. So again, we go back to, what is the pathway that you want your ideal fit client to take? It doesn't mean that every single person has to go from lead magnet to low ticket offer to higher ticket offer to biggest offer that you have. Not everybody is going to do that. People are going to jump in at various places, and that's okay. But this really is about you getting clear on who you are and how you serve. And of course, I'm going to invite you to lean into your human design very, very heavily for that. Lean into the defined areas in your human design chart to understand what it is that you offer. What are you broadcasting out into the world? What do people feel when they're in your presence? That's going to be from your definition. And then what do you love to do? What do people come to you all the time for? There is a pattern. Believe me when I say that there is a pattern with client work. And over again, people will say to me, Vicki, I don't know the problem that I solve. I don't know who it is that I serve. And I ask them, how many clients have you had in the room with you? It's never enough clients to really get a feel for that. But if you are putting yourself in the room with clients, even with a very basic offer on your website, if you're getting in the room with clients, you will find that there is a similarity to the things that they are coming to you with, that actually we can look at and say, okay, that's the thing that you do best. That's the problem that you solve. That's your niche, because your clients have told you when you've worked with them. It just is the way that it energetically works. I don't know how it works, but it's how it works. Believe me when I say that. So you take the confusion out of it for your ideal fit client when you actually hone it down and come down to one or two offers and speak everything. All of your messaging goes around that. And then the third thing is getting a strategy in place. So many times when people come in to start with me, they don't have any strategy whatsoever. Maybe their strategy is, I'm a projector, so I add more rest into my calendar. I'm a manifestor, so I just do whatever I like. I'm a generator, so I only work when I'm in response. That dog won't hunt. It just won't, because business is business. We look at your human design not as what you do, but as how you do what you do. So we're going to look into your human design to see how you build the business that you're here to build. And for that, I want you to have a strategy. I want you to have something that makes sense so that your ideal client lands on your website and goes, oh, I get it. I know exactly what she does. I know exactly how she helps me. This builds confidence in your reader or your listener. They need to know that you've got them. They don't want to have to come in and figure it out. I think I talked a few episodes ago about going to my natural health practitioner. She's a Chinese medicine doctor, a naturopathic doctor. She has all these tools in her toolbox. And the worst thing for me is when I walk in and she says, what do you want to do today? Like, I don't want to make that decision. And your ideal client doesn't want to make that decision. They want to know that you've got them. And you may pull out any kind of tools that you want, but they want to know that you know what you're doing and that you're confident that you can get them the results that you're going to get them. So in order to do that, you need to have a strategy in place. Now, a simple strategy to use is your lead magnet. Now, here's one. I'm going to go through some mistakes as well. Here we are. But I always have to go around the mulberry bush, right? Oftentimes, people will tell you how to create a lead magnet or what lead magnet to create in your business. It doesn't make any sense. Your lead magnet needs to match your offer. So you're not going to just come up with a lead magnet out of, my son used to say, smooth air. You're not going to come out with a lead magnet out of smooth air and it doesn't match the rest of your offers. You're going to start with your offer and work backwards. So that you have your lead magnet that actually leaves a gap, that gives people a quick win. This is another thing about your lead magnet. It doesn't need to be a 167-page dissertation on the thing that it is that you help them with. It needs to be something that they can consume and that they can get a quick win. Nobody needs another PDF or ebook in their computer files that they're never going to look at. Am I right? So think about, what could I give them that's really going to give them a quick win, that's going to leave a gap to working with me, that's going to naturally make them hungry to want more of me. How can I do that? And can you give something that knocks their socks off so much that would be something that someone else in your field would charge for? That's going to differentiate you in the space as well. And this is not about, oh my God, if this is what she gives for free, what on earth does she do when you pay her? That's not what it is. This is like really you loving on your person and saying, you know what, I'm going to give you something that's actually going to change your life. I want you to use it. And then we'll talk later about the next steps for you. But I want to give you something of value here. I'm not interested in putting another PDF in your computer files that you will never look at again. That's the energy of your lead magnet. Your lead magnet should be something that you feel so proud to share because you know it's going to help someone. So you could have your lead magnet in place, and then in your welcome sequence, you're going to set up a nurture sequence. And there's some podcast episodes I'll link in the show notes for you where I walked you through how to do this as well. But you're going to set up a welcome sequence or a nurture sequence where you're going to offer something for sale along the way. This can be a 3 to 5 to 7 email sequence where you let people get into your world, you let them understand your mission, you tell them what's in it for them, you share some case studies or testimonials, and you invite them to make an energetic exchange with you by buying something. This sets them up to buy from you in the future. It lets them understand that this actually is a business for you. This is not something where you're just creating content for the sake of creating content to just pour on people. And that's another thing that I think we can get stuck in as online entrepreneurs, where we feel like we have to be continually creating new content and not asking for that exchange dollar for content. So you're going to sell something in your welcome sequence, and that thing is going to be an extension. It's going to fill in a gap from your lead magnet. And then that thing is going to leave a gap. Usually it's the integration piece. Usually that's why people get in the room with us, because they need to integrate. We may have given them all of the information, just like I'm doing with you here in this podcast episode. I'm laying this all out for you. But if you want to get in the room with me to do this in May, then you're going to have to invest in yourself and in your business for that. So you're going to pay me for the integration piece if you decide that you need it. So in your business, what does that next offer provide, and what is missing from that next offer that they would want to go further and work with you? And that becomes the next thing. Now, oftentimes, this is the type of thing, like what I talked about at the beginning of this episode, where it was the reading that this practitioner's soul loves to do. It differentiates her in the space. It sets her apart from everyone else in the space, and it fits perfectly into what she's doing. So again, let's go back to the human design example. Maybe the thing is not a basic reading that you offer. Maybe the thing is not a relationship reading that you offer. Maybe you long to deal with parents and kids. So your lead magnet deals with that. Your low ticket offer deals with that. And then maybe that is a parent and child reading. And then the next thing is maybe a coaching package with you for 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is that you decide. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this in your business. Please don't hear that it has to be this way. You absolutely have to have an offer ladder or an ascension ladder. Like I said, people are going to jump in and out at different points in your funnel, shall we call it, in your ecosystem. And that's okay. Some people will never go further than your lead magnet. Some people will never go further than your low ticket offer. And some people will start at your coaching package and go from there. But just make it make sense for them. Help them to understand what it is that you do and how you help by making it really, really clear and really well laid out for them to be able to land in your world and understand what it is that you do and how you help. People are already overwhelmed. Decision fatigue is a real thing. We don't need to make them work so hard when they discover us. So as I said, I am going to be opening up my calendar in May for these strategy sessions. I'm only going to have space for 10 in my calendar, and I will put the link in the show notes for you where you can get more information about that if it's calling to you.